Yo, what's good, y'all? It's Project Man, and today we're back again another video. This is gonna be DJ in this mug, telling you exactly what happened between Roman Reigns, the super hot fire promo between Roman Reigns and CM Punk on Monday Night Raw. As you see, that's exactly what I'm gonna be talking about in this title and how well they sold WrestleMania. I will save my thoughts at the end of it, but I'm gonna start off by saying the quick things that happened on the show. I thought this show was good. It was like kind of in the middle of great, so I'll say really good. I think it was a really good show because it started off hot, then the middle kind of got then the middle kind of picked up, then the middle picked up a little more, then it went kind of back to then we got a little something but not done crazy, and then we got great at the end. Like it was a freaking roller coaster. That's why I say 8.5, 9 out of 10 show, because it was sometimes where it was kind of low, but it was like then it picked really up there. So say all that to say, show started off rightfully so with Braun Breaker. For the WWE fans, let's lock in with this video right here. I forgot to say that, but anyway, Braun Breaker started off the show. He's hot. He's pissed. He's freaking redheaded, and he's mad, and he's upset at the fact that he got attacked by allegedly Seth Rollins or whoever else is behind the hoodie, thrown into the steps and all that, and got eliminated from the Royal Rumble in like 10 seconds or whatever it was. And he's mad at that, starts to show off hot and says, Adam Pearce, bring your ass out here or whatever. And Adam Pearce comes out there and says that, like, basically, hey, you don't know who it was, or I don't know who it was that attacked you. And Paul's whole gripe is like, well, you're the GM, so you have to approve people flying all the way over to Saudi to get here. So, like, you know who it is, basically. And Pearce says that he doesn't. And he said, hell, it could be anybody in the division. Like, and then that kind of alluded to, like, Austin Theory or Logan Paul. Like, oh, maybe they did it type of thing. And, yeah, so he ran out pissed and upset, and as that was going on, he got my boy LA Knight came out there, to hit, I think it was Bronson and I think it was Austin Theory and Logan Paul maybe, with a steel chair, because he stand on business. And then he hightailed it out of there once they kind of realized what was going on, and Braun Breaker even had a contemplation of whether he was going to keep going up the ramp or whether he was going to help him or whatever. And that's how the first part of the segment ended. And as far as anything else with story, there was a match with Penta and Bronson Reed, and Braun was cost that match by way of LA Knight hitting a BFT on him on a chair on the floor. So Penta got the count out win. That was really cool seeing LA Knight stand on business. And I'm just telling that show-long story of like what's going to happen between Braun Breaker and Adam Pearce. And they were basically saying that Pearce said that he had LA Knight leave the building, and LA Knight must have sneaked up in there because, he definitely didn't leave. Or maybe he came back. But anyway, that's how the first part went. Far as the other story, Gunther came out there to AJ Styles' music, which I knew that was the case when I heard AJ's music. At first I was like, oh, but then I was like, wait a minute, nope, it's Gunther. And then I was right, and it was Gunther. And yeah, he's basically talking about how he retired Bill Goldberg, John Cena, and now AJ Styles, and that he's the career killer. It actually says career killer on the Titantron now. So there's that. And yeah, Shabuya, Dragon Lee comes out there, former tag partner of AJ Styles, and they did great as tag team champions. And yeah, Gunther went out and as Dragon Lee was beating him up, he eventually went on to choke Dragon Lee out, had him dangling in front of the rope, and that boy was gone. Gone. And that's how that ended. So not sure where it's gonna go with Gunther. Nice little match with Dragon Lee, I guess he could have, but as far as the next legend he's gonna go after, I have no idea. Oba had a powerful, somewhat, not a whole lot of time, but Oba Femi somewhat had a powerful debut when he took out the War Raiders. And I don't mind Oba taking people out because he's a big, strong dude, but so are the War Raiders, and these are also former tag team champions. So I kind of felt a way about that. Like, if these are supposed to be tag team champions, and also the War Raiders are like big dudes, I get Oba's a big guy, but it's like, so is the War Raiders, and on top of that, they're former tag team champions. So why is Oba taking out a tag team rather than taking out guys that is more plausible, like two smaller guys? It would have made more sense. But anyway, wish they would have done more with his first appearance there on Raw, whether it be a promo, even if it was brief. But anyway, other things that happened before I get into the main event was there was a not last man standing. It was a street fight between Stephanie Vaquer and Raquel Rodriguez, and before that match went underway, she basically asked Liv like not to be out there, and also why she eliminated her from the Royal Rumble. And Liv said, hey, look, either way, kind of avoided the question by saying either way it's a win for the Judgment Day, no matter, and you're gonna win the world championship, so there's nothing to feel bad about. And she proceeded to not win the world championship because Raquel told Liv not to come out there. She still came out there, and she beat up Stephanie after Stephanie pinned Raquel with her move. I think her and Roxanne came out there and yeah, they didn't do what Raquel asked them to do, and she ended up losing to Stephanie to that nice corkscrew type. I don't know what do you even call it. It's like a corkscrew moonsault. That's the best way you can call it. But yeah, Liv later out with her finishing move, the Oblivion, and then that was it. Raised the title up, and I think she's gonna choose Stephanie, even though she says she's gonna go on SmackDown and exploit her options. No, I think she's going after Stephanie, which should be a great programming match, hopefully. But anyway, sorry, 5 minutes of just I had to get it out the way because the main event of the evening. Well, that was the main event match, but the main event, as in the last thing we saw on the show, was a great segment between Roman Reigns and CM Punk. So Roman comes out there from being in the car. He comes out the car like he usually does, walks his way down to the ring, and we go to commercial break because, Roman needs the time to aura farm for 3 minutes. So he did so. The chat notes to see they love it. Roman Reigns, obviously the Royal Rumble winner, and he has to make a decision. That's what he was saying. I got to make a decision on who to face. And I'm going to leave it up to you, Philly. And it's actually, basically he was mentioning how it was crazy because in 2015, he won his first Royal Rumble here in Philly, and the crowd was like, yeah, you did. And he's like, and he laughed and was like, oh, it didn't sound like that. Because if you guys know, he got a lot of negative reaction from the Philly crowd when he won the Royal Rumble because they didn't feel he was ready for the main event spotlight at the time. So yeah, they well receive him now. But yeah, he was saying how that was there, and he also lost his, I think he said he won one of his, I think he said he won his first WWE championship in Philly, and he also lost his championship right to Cody, funny enough, in Philadelphia in 2024 WrestleMania 40. So a lot of great history there in Philly, and he's asking them who to choose, and he's like, should I go Drew? The crowd boos, and he says, should I go Punk? The crowd cheers, and or I think they actually chanted CM Punk's name before he even actually said, should he face Punk? Because those are the two world champions, and out comes Punk, and now we get into the part where I took notes. I basically put it here word for word, because, with notes, you can talk it out, so you don't have to type every word. So here we go. I just wanted to make sure that I covered everything. That's why I took notes. So bear with me. I will try to keep you here under 20 minutes, but no promises. Anyway, Roman gets interrupted by CM Punk, and he basically said, I'm not going to get it verbatim, but he said, Finn Balor, you say you're not a bad guy, because he had said that, I forgot, earlier in the night about how he didn't feel bad or not the bad guy for attacking Punk or whatever, because he basically feels like he's been getting disrespected despite the fact that he's shown this company so much respect and all that. And clearly that's not enough to, basically be treated with respect, no matter how much respect he gives the company and all that stuff, and how he's not a bad guy. And this is where Punk responds to him saying, Finn, you're not a bad guy. Or I should say, you say you're not a bad guy, but, you pushed me to the point where I'm the baddest guy, and you're going to find out as soon as I get my hands on you. And I'm sorry, going over the notes makes this funny because I know how Roman said it. And he's like, he must have rung, he's talking about Finn Balor, he must have rung your bell or something when you, he was like, he must have rung your bell. You come out here and you interrupt my segment to talk about Finn Balor. It's the way that Finn Balor was just disowned like that. It's like, God, dog. And then anyway, Punk responds with, I interrupted you. Like, basically, let me set the shit straight on my OVO shit. No, so Drake's not kidding. Let me set it straight, basically saying that, you're a visitor on my show. You know what I'm saying? I'm the world champion. That means that I call the shots, and this is Monday Night Raw. This is Netflix, and you got a big decision to make. And did you ask the fans from Philly for help? Because I can listen to, and then, so this is where he says, do you asking the crowd, do you want to see Roman Reigns and CM Punk? And they cheer. And you want to see Roman Reigns and Drew? They boo. And he did that for a little bit, like just saying Punk, Drew, and the crowd booing and all stuff. And then that's when he said, I could listen to Drew get booed all day. And it's going to be, Roman Reigns versus Drew, or obviously, like I said, Roman Reigns versus Punk. He said you could take the easy way out and choose Drew McIntyre. And then Roman responds with, you think Drew McIntyre is the easy way out? Like, hey, Phil, I don't know if you know this or realize this, but Drew is 4 times bigger than you. Like, because obviously Drew's a big dude. And he said, and the last time y'all fought, man, he had you crying over a bracelet. Which was freaking hilarious because, the whole thing, it wasn't that he was fighting over a bracelet. The bracelet was more as a tangible item to symbolize something bigger, right? Being his wife and his dog, rest in peace to Larry, his dog, that were on the bracelet and stuff like that a fan gave to him. So it was the symbolism, but he just freaking minimized it and said, basically, bro had you crying over a bracelet. But And Punk basically, and then Roman said, I think it was actually that bracelet because he was wearing it. He was like, I think it was actually that bracelet. So he points to that, and he said, that Punk was like, basically like, hey, careful, man, because the last time I fought Drew McIntyre, I beat him in the most dangerous match that the company has to offer, that obviously being Hell in a Cell, and I beat Drew, and he said, I beat Drew in Hell in a Cell, and basically, like, I beat him so bad to the point where I think he said they ran out of staples to put his dumb ass back together. I was like, God, dog. So they literally, as I actually, let me finish this first before I say what I'm about to say. And he said this company has, yep. And then he said, and then Roman responded with, I beat Drew for 3 straight years. And then Punk responded with, yeah, you beat Drew, but with how many of your cousins? Pointing at the fact that, you always had help to beat Drew McIntyre. And then Roman, hit him with the, careful how you talk about my family, because y'all know how Roman get about family. You know what I'm saying? But, and Roman also followed, okay, let me actually stop there. The fact that they spent the first like 2-3 minutes of it, or 2 straight minutes of them just burying Drew McIntyre, the other champion, the WWE champion, is hilarious. I feel like Drew needs to at least have a brief, like, 10-second response to what they said, because bro, they was over there just cooking Drew for like the first minute and a half. Was them just basically talking about how they both beaten up Drew McIntyre, the other champion. I just think that's so freaking crazy. Yeah, he gotta have a little short response, because that is insane. But anyway, moving on. Like I said, careful how you talk about my family. And then Roman said, remember that the reason why this company is where it's at is because of him, that being the bloodline story, and how much money that legitimately drew, and the views that drew, and just peak television. He's not wrong there. And he's the reason why, the company's the reason, the show is why it's where it's at because of them, and told Punk to not forget that. And then Punk responds with, you think you're the reason why we're in this spot? And he was like, you know what, you're sort of right. You right to a certain degree, but you manipulated. You did that by manipulating your cousins and your family into thinking you're this great messiah, and that you care about this place, and that you held it up to the sky, but all you did was hold it hostage. Basically saying, you kept this shit locked down. You know what I'm saying? And forced everybody to, because that's what Rome was doing, forcing everybody to bend at his will. And like I said, held this place hostage. That also could refer to the fact that there hasn't been, because during that 3.5 year reign, we saw, think about that, 3.5 years, and we see not one new world champion. So that's kind of what he's alluding at when he said he hold it hostage, because we never see nobody else. Followed up with, and you went on the Pat McAfee show, and I'm glad he brought this up, because that went hella viral. Like what Roman was saying about just how they've not really advanced the creative, and how, not enough young guys or whatever was like stepping it up since Roman lost the championship, and how they should be way more advanced and forward, because Roman, having the great reign he had, gave them the layup for this company to be way better. So basically taking a shot at how last year in WWE was not the best it should have been. Even though they had material there to make it great, it just did not go well. Not to say we had some good moments, but overall it was just not a great year for WWE last year. So even he was taking a shot at that just for further context. But so that's what Punk was addressing. He said, yeah, you went on Pat McAfee's show, and he seen that, and that he was talking about how your quarterly vacations, like Roman being gone, is him graciously stepping out of the spotlight to, like, share it with other people. And he's like, the audacity of you to like say that, and the fact that you actually like believe this, is crazy, and that no one is stepping in or stepped up or is trying to fill your shoes. That's what he was saying, because the Roman was saying nobody could fill his shoes, and he said like nobody's trying to follow in your footsteps, because many moons ago when I was champion for 434 days, and because Punk had a long title reign too, and I had Paul Heyman next to my side, and he was like saying like, yeah, that sounds familiar, because Roman obviously had Paul Heyman to his side during the whole time he was champion. And he said, because you took it, took his like kind of blueprint or whatnot, and you took it and you followed in my footsteps. You were champion for 1,316 days, and good on you. Basically saying good on you for that. But just because you had it longer. And I knew what he was going to say. As I was watching it live, I was excited the whole time. And I also had an energy drink, so I was like overly excited as I'm watching this. So he said, just because you held it longer, I knew he was going to follow up with what he said. And that was, doesn't mean you did it better. I literally knew that is exactly what he was going to say. I literally was watching it going, doesn't mean you did it better. I freaking, it was a dope line and I knew he was going to say that. And he said, Punk said, maybe you do have the right to call your shot and show up when you want, but I'm not mad at it. You choose to be a part-timer, but I choose to travel to 10 countries in 3 weeks. Basically just talking about how he's like a workhorse world champion, there full-time in and out, defending championship. And he said, I chose to go around nationwide, worldwide to see and defend my title, in places, or, to be in places and fight in places like Poland, Scotland, Denmark, Belgium, London, Toronto, and I choose to come back and say things like, is it good to be alive on a Monday Night Raw in Philadelphia or what? Because they were in Philadelphia, so they popped for that, obviously. And he said, I chose to be a fighting champion, just like how I chose to bring you into this company alongside the rest of the Shield, which I was like, oh God, we're unpacking it. With as far as story is concerned, we're unpacking here. And it's crazy I'm saying all this, and this is all Punk talking, and this is like insane. But anyway, he said that, I'm trying to go through this a little quicker actually now that I think about it. In front of you, yeah. Okay, it says, I brought you in with the rest of the Shield, and you chose to follow in my footsteps, like he said earlier. And I'm here to tell you, Tribal Chief, that you learned from the best, talking about himself, and I'm proud of you. You got a decision to make. There's two guys, on one hand, you can go with Drew McIntyre, a champion like that, who's the man because he's WWE champion, or you can go and try to go after a title, go after the title that makes, Drew being the man as WWE champion, or you can try to climb Mount Everest with no Sherpa, and you can go after the man who helped this title and held it down in your absence as the World Heavyweight Champion. That was what Punk said. So imagine that. That. I know I put my little commentary in there, but that was a lot that he said right there. And Roman Reigns ended it with this. He's saying, like, because Roman, like I said, he said he was making all these countries and all these towns, and Roman followed up with this. You made all those towns because you took a 10-year vacation, talking about the fact that he was gone from WWE and walked out, got fired, was gone, didn't come back to wrestling for 10 years in the WWE specifically. And he said, and if I had, he was saying, if I had like an absence that long, I would be trying to get it in as much as possible too, like, get up, kind of make up for all that lost time. And he said, and then second, I learned from you, like, he did his laugh when he said, I learned from you, like, like, what you mean I learned from you? He said, if anything, the only thing I learned from you is what not to do. And he said, let's get it straight. You wouldn't be here if it wasn't without me approving you to come back to this company 2 years or so ago when the company thought about bringing back CM Punk. Who do you think they asked if it was like okay for you to come back? Who do you think they kind of got that A-OK okey doke? Who you think they asked and ran it by if it was okay for you to come back? They ran it by me, and he allowed Punk to come back. You know what I'm saying? And he said, I made a promise to Paul, talking about Paul Heyman, obviously. I made a promise to Paul, and he said, I did my best to try to keep it, but I won't forget that 10 years ago or so, when you and your best friend, talking about Colt Commander, went on a podcast, running your mouth, making my life harder than it should have been, because he was commenting at the time that Roman was like the big dog, saying all types of stuff about WWE creative and how Roman's pushed and all this type of stuff. That's what they were kind of talking about on their podcast. So that's what he meant by making my life harder than it already was, with him getting rejected by the crowd. And he says that I let you back here and you took my wise man, and you brainwashed my cousins, and you almost brainwashed me, because when I shook your hands like a man, at War Games, you said Zebros, obviously talking about them being in the Zootopia 2, that movie, and they were, I guess zebras that are brothers, and he was like, yeah, you were talking about Zebros or some stupid shit like that, and they didn't even bleep out the shit. I mean, it's no Netflix, but, even they sometimes will still bleep stuff out, but he said, yeah, you were saying Zebros or some, shit like that, you know what I'm saying? And that got a nice pop from the crowd, and he said, I shook your hand like a man, and you mocked me as I walked up the ramp, when they were over the show, walking up the ramp, and you mocked me as I was walking up the ramp, as if I was your little young boy or something like that. And he said, not YB, y'all, calm down. And he said, I could choose you because you're a bigger star, and I could choose you because you're on the bigger show, you're on Netflix, you're on the best show, but that's not why I'm picking you. I'm picking you because I hate you, and I've always hated you. And the main event of WrestleMania for me, or it's going to be sweet for me at WrestleMania, because in the main event of WrestleMania, it will be the best day of my life, because I will, force you to acknowledge me. And then he dropped the mic, walked out with the aura that he emits, and that was the end of the segment. We went off there. Okay, I should have said this better. I'll keep the recap of the promo under 20 minutes and talk about what I actually thought of the promo. Now this is the section where I give you the actual thoughts on the promo. I'm going to tell you this. It was great. It was great. It was great. It was great. This is the part where I'm just giving you my thoughts now. It was great. It was fantastic. I was reacting to everything they said. I knew it was going a while, in a sense of with the way they were talking and how much material they had. I was like, yeah, this is going to be one of them longer segments that you want to never end. And that's exactly what it was and felt like in the moment. And man, they were going at it, bro. Like I just recapped the whole thing about them, him talking about the Shield and saying that, hey, I brought you in here. So Punk saying that he brought Roman in, and then Punk, or it's funny because it was just a lot of great story, because, Roman was saying that, or Punk was saying that he brought Roman in alongside the Shield, so he's the reason why Roman's there. But then Roman, I like how he rebutted with, but hold on, when you wanted to come back to this company, because of what me and my cousins and my family did for this company, that's why you have a WWE to come back to. And by the way, when you wanted to come back, who do you think they asked if you can come back? Who do you think they needed the AOK, the okie doke from when they wanted to bring CM Punk back into this company? Who do you think they asked to allow you to come back into this company? They asked me, because they obviously care about Roman's approval. And if Roman ain't good with it, they probably wasn't going to go through with it. So I liked how, I don't know if they discussed this beforehand on just how they were going to argue this out, or maybe they gave each other like not line for line, but just to kind of what they were going to say, and they kind of maybe came up with their own responses. Not sure how they put it together, but it was a masterpiece. And man, they sold this like they had this promo was so great. You would have thought they had like one night to sell this match. Like it was almost, they sold this match as if it was like a match that we're just now putting together on short notice. We're going to have this match like tomorrow, and you guys only have one promo to sell this match. Go. That's how they did this promo. They did this promo as if they only had one night. Guys, we got 2 months until WrestleMania, and they sold this like they only had a day left, and we need to sell this match like now. Because, wrestlers, especially when you're having a match on short notice, and they only got like a week or two to build the match up, they'll do those type of just freaking great back and forth promos, because we got a short amount of time to sell this match, so you better give it the best y'all got. And it's like that's what they did. You would have thought they had no time to sell this match with the way they just put their all into it. Now the only potential concern is, I don't know if they did too good. They didn't sell this match between him and Roman in the main event of WrestleMania for the World Heavyweight Championship. The championship Roman has not won. They didn't even sell this match. They, like, to me, you know how when guys oversell in the ring, like, maybe you get hit with a punch and you kind of flop all over the ring, they call that overselling. They oversold this match. They overly sold this match, like, as in, I think they sold it too good, because they sold this match so well to the point where I'm like, I wonder if they have enough material to build. We got 2 months, bro. We got not even like, even if it was like a week, 2 weeks, bro, we got 2 more months until WrestleMania. I don't know if they're gonna have enough material for 2 more months because of how much material they used here that all made perfect sense. That's why I said I don't know how they put this together, because it flowed seamlessly. It seemed fast. You didn't want it to end. It was great, and it all made sense. Like the reason why they were upset with each other, and them talking about, hey, I brought you in here with the Shield. Hey, I brought you when you wanted to come back. They had to ask me if it was okay for you to come back. And Punk saying that, hey, I held the title for 434 days. Yeah, you might have held it longer, but that doesn't mean you did it better. Because funny enough, that was also alluding to the fact that, because I think Punk had like 140 something title defenses in that 434 day title reign, and Roman had like 30 something title defenses in his entire 3.5 year reign, which is crazy when you think about it. But it just goes to show you that, like, Man, I know some people weren't a big fan of Roman winning the Rumble. I even said it myself. I thought Roman was winning, and I love Roman, and funny enough, Punk as well is in my top 5 favorites of active wrestlers, but and all time greats in my top 10 for 5 for one of them. But anyway, I know a lot of people are like, I don't want to see Roman, want to see a new guy win the Royal Rumble. But I said, hey man, I would prefer to see a new guy win the Royal Rumble, like elevate somebody else. But I was not against Roman winning, and Roman, when he was like, hey, bro, like, y'all need me because I, like he said in the promo and on the Pat McAfee show, hey, I allowed y'all time to build new stars and to step it up and stuff like that, and y'all ain't done it. And Roman basically said, I'm going to prove that point. Roman basically was on the mission to prove that point tonight because the way he freaking cooked up this promo alongside CM Punk, he was like, oh, y'all didn't want me to win the Royal Rumble? Some of y'all, hey, was you going to get great television like how we just did with me and Punk? If I wouldn't have won the Royal Rumble, you telling me there was a better guy that could have done, there was a guy that could have gave you as much hype that I just did with CM Punk as we freaking battled out back and forth? I mean, he was on a mission to prove that, like, yeah, y'all needed me in that WrestleMania main event. Like, just like I've been all the WrestleMania, y'all still need me in that goddamn main event because find you a young and up-and-coming wrestler that can sell you a match like that. That's what this promo felt like. He was proving a point. I love it because if anything, it drives you to do better. And I give a shout out to people like Paul Heyman who, mentored both of these guys on promos and stuff like that. So the fact that we got Paul Heyman being one of the, not the greatest promo of all time, is the reason why people like Punk and Roman are so good at what they do and how they just greatly sold that match and they also didn't go back and forth. I like in a way where they just sat there and just let the guy talk because they did do that, but it was in a way where they still had a back and forth. It wasn't like a sit there, you say something, then I'll say my case. It was like a, you said this and I'm going, wait a minute, you crazy for what you just said. Let me debunk your argument there. Like I like how they did it. You know what I'm saying? So, hey man, they did great. And also the last thing I'm gonna say is the reason why they were able to do a promo segment as good as this is not only because there were so many connections as far as like the Shield being brought in to protect Punk during his 434-day reign, and the fact that they both had Paul Heyman as their mentor and all this other type of stuff behind the scenes and on screen, because they have all that equity and they have the catalog and the history and the lineage and all this other stuff. That's the reason why a story like this can even happen. Because with a Braun Breaker, like someone newer, they would have had to completely like fabricate an entire new story. But because there's already this history here and all these things that tie in together, like with them fighting at War Games together, and like I said, Paul Heyman being their mentor, and Roman saying, hey, they asked me for, which I actually do believe they probably did ask Roman, hey, is it okay if we bring Punk back in here, because that's their big star, so they gotta make sure he's okay with it. It's just a lot of realism in this storyline that also works in story. There's like that real, and that's what Punk's best at. When he worked with the right guy, there's that realism in that work that blends in perfectly together. There's enough amount of real to where it's realistic, but enough of a work to where it just works into the story as they're going back and forth with each other. And I hope more guys do that, young and up and coming guys and whatnot. Do more promo segments like this, not as long, because I think it were like 10 or 11 minutes straight. But nah, just do more promos where it just, is a good story. And we get to just verbally just throw the bullets at each other like they did now. And that was the only thing I was wishing they would have had last year during the match between Roman, Seth, and when they had the triple threat last year, funny enough, Roman, Punk, and Seth. I was looking forward to Punk and Roman going back and forth, and they didn't really do it, and they did it here. And I was like, see, I knew I didn't get the best out of them as far as just them jabbing back and forth. This is what I wanted to see last year during the build-up. That was the only criticism I gave the build-up to that triple threat, and we got it here, man. And you know what? I'm glad they saved it, because now the full focus is just on these two guys. So I'm not sure what they'll do for the WWE Championship. Maybe a triple threat with Cody, Jacob, and Drew, or maybe Drew goes, or maybe they fight in the chamber, and we see how that gets to Drew, and see if Drew main events night 2 or whatnot. I don't even know. But anyway, great segment. Only thing I hope is that they can build enough story to where there's more material that they can just go back and forth with like this, because they emptied out a lot of the clip on the first night of them feuding, and we also don't know how many times Roman's going to show up in the build up to Mania. So hey, they did great, and hopefully they continue to do great, and hopefully if Seth is backing up and ready to go, we'll get a great story with them too, verbal back and forth and all that with them too. Because if WrestleMania is going to be build up wise anything like what we got just to start it with Roman and Punk, then we should be in for a fun freaking ride, and hopefully we are. But anyway, if you liked the video, I could go all day on this. It was a great segment and built up hype for Mania. I mean, you pretty much wanted Mania to happen like tomorrow with the way they built this up. So hopefully they can continue to build on the story and make it better rather than the first thing they do is the best they got, you know. But anyway, love and appreciate you guys. And at the end of the day, we're going to say this, what is, what's going to be is this certified prodigy continue to come out with the content, videos, bangers over and over again for you guys. Doing my thing and doing it to the best of my ability. Like, comment, subscribe. We posting on every single channel that you see on here. So run it up as we do it in I don't know what I was trying to say. Do this in 2026. I don't know why 18 was kind of come out of my mouth, but anyway, love, appreciate you guys. See y'all next video, man. That's the vibe that DJ's on.